You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we are talking about the American science fiction disaster film Geostorm, co-written and directed by Dean Devlin, released October 20th, 2017.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Geostorm.
Geostorm.
I remember when this movie came out and I tried to get to the theater to see it, and I talked myself out of it every time.
I vaguely remember this movie existing. But I thought it was like earlier than 2017. Like, it's like one of those movies like, oh, I've maybe heard that name once somewhere in passing.
Yeah.
And so whenever you like put it on the docket on this, it was like, oh, let's go this way. And I was like, I know absolutely nothing about this and what I'm getting into. So
sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, it was. I had never seen it. I knew nothing getting into, and then I did, not spoiled, but I just happened to like the way that I was watching it. Like, they have like the Rotten Tomato scores and stuff like right there next to it. And so I hadn't even seen that until I was about to hit play, and then I was like, oh, yikes. What am I about? What is she doing to me? What am I about to do? This is going to be happening, part 2?
I forgot. I so forgot. And we were trying to come up with these movies that were maybe not as intense as some of the others.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I thought this was a good one to put on there.
Yeah, I mean, I will say what I thought about it at some point, probably soon. Might as well get it out the way. But yeah, but I remember looking at that and I was like, oh, people hated this movie. I was like, with the Rotten Tomato scores, it was like critic score was 16%, and then like the fan score was 35%. And I was like, oh god, this is rough.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna hit play, and we're gonna try to go in this without too many preconceived notions, but we'll see. No, but by the end, I won't tell you my ranking yet. You don't get that till the very end. But
of course not.
But my overall thoughts on it was that I don't know. I'm not sure why it was so hated. Why it was rated so low. Was not amazing by any means, but I didn't hate it. Like, I remember the like movie kind of wrapping up and getting to the end, and I was like, I didn't hate that. That was fun. Like, it's really how I felt. I was like, if I don't think about the like science and logic and stuff too much, like, it was fun.
Which didn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. Like, I was like, that was fun. I enjoyed it. There was enough of like subverting expectations and like plot twist kind of stuff that I was like, you know what? I appreciate what they did. I did not hate it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm relieved about that.
Yeah.
Because after I finished watching it, all I could think is, oh my god, he's going to kill me. This is another happening, and he's going to be like, why did we do this? And I'm so glad that you didn't hate it, because now I don't feel so bad about picking it.
Yeah. Like, there's definitely some gripes, and I will get into those.
Good.
But no, overall, I enjoyed what it was. It was worth watching. The bad CGI faces are bad. Like, real bad, but you know I'm a nitpicker on CGI for sure.
Yes,
anyway.
we've talked about
So,
that. We've
like,
talked about that.
And it was just the scenes like in space when they're like out, like when Jake is like out spacewalking or flying through debris, and him and Ute are yelling at each other, and like, I was like, oh god, the CGI faces in these suits are atrocious. But
oh, yes. The CGI, I would have to give like a D-. I wouldn't give it an F, because there were a few things that were decent.
Yeah.
But the CGI was not my favorite.
Most of it held up just fine for me, other than the faces in the suits. That was the one
bad.
that really just like, oh.
It was nothing special, though. I mean, The Day After Tomorrow did it better, I feel like.
That's exactly. Again, if I go into... It's funny that you
would go there.
Brought that up, because one of my notes, I just like read notes exactly, because you know the way I take my notes is it's all kind of stream of consciousness as I'm watching the movie, and then I compile them into what topics they fit. And so I just happened typing, I said, another climate change cautionary tale. that has, it's like that, it's not too bad. So the narration at the beginning said the first major catastrophic events happened in 2019. Now that we're past that a little bit, kind of removes you from the story. But, okay.
It doesn't, not really, if you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're always now in the world talking about climate change, so it's definitely on the forefront.
Yeah, but yeah, the last line in that notice, I have a feeling this will be no day after tomorrow.
No, it wasn't. I mean, one of the things I like about movies like this is watching things get destroyed. I know it's weird, kind of, but I know I'm not the only one that likes these type of movies because they like to see, how the people behind the scenes make this happen, like how they show the devastation and different things. There's always a different take on it depending on who the special effects house is. And believe me, there were a number of special effects houses that were involved with this film.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out that actually is in my production notes, but I feel like given what we've talked about so far, I really should, just throw this out there. This production as a whole was troubled from kind of the beginning. Filming began in 2014. Then it did real bad or real poor in front of test audiences. So the studio decided to bring in Jerry Bruckheimer as an executive producer. He's known for doing these types of movies and this intense, action films. They also brought in Leta Kalogridis, who had written the screenplay for Shutter Island, which was quite, she wrote that screenplay, so it's quite a great film. And British filmmaker and TV producer Danny Cannon came on board to direct the reshoots because Devlin was not available. And Cannon's actually much more known for TV, like Gotham, Nikita, Alcatraz, most recently Pennyworth. And he did all 3 CSI TV shows. So, I mean, he does a lot of pilot stuff, too. So he really knows, or he has a vision behind what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the reshoots cost the studio $15 million. And overall, they lost about $71 million.
Oof.
And I think they were investing in trying to fix things. And maybe they should have either scrapped it all together or started over. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, again, I said I didn't hate this movie that much, and I really didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to see the version that was even worse than this, because this one already had enough problems to be like riding the line for me in a lot of ways. So it was
Definitely. Definitely. So I think that we should just probably jump in and start talking about some things. And I do have a few behind the scenes things that I can mention before we jump into our character analysis.
All right.
So it was filmed in United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, China, Spain, New Orleans, Louisiana, Moscow, Russia, and Mumbai, India. And as you'll learn later, some of those were just these specific things, like specific devastation that was connected in the movie when the satellite, or rather Dutch boy, decided to go crazy.
Yeah.
It was the directorial debut for Dean Devlin, who is a former actor known for playing Milton in the 1985 film Real Genius, which some folks I know that listen to this podcast will be like, oh, really? And have to go look it up, because I had to go look it up when I read it, because a few of us have been talking about Real Genius lately. It keeps coming up over and over. And so I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then I went and looked and said, oh, yeah, Milton. Okay. It was co-written by Paul Goyot. Does not have a good rating on Rotten Tomatoes, as Pake mentioned. The budget was $120 million. The box office draw was about $221.6 million. But as I mentioned, it lost the studio about $71.6 million. I think a lot of that was just additional investment in trying to fix something that wasn't working.
Yeah.
It is 109 minutes, although I felt like it went by, it wasn't a slow movie. I felt like it kept moving, which was great. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And you know it's time for Pake to bring us one of his great synopses.
One of IMDb's great synopses. Okay.
Yes, maybe I should just start saying that.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Pake to bring us one of IMDb's great synopses.
Yeah. I won't take credit for it. I've written my own maybe twice.
Yes.
When I couldn't find a good one.
You do a great job when you write your own.
Yeah.
You do.
All right. But the one that I found and liked this time was when the network of satellites designed to control the global climate starts to attack Earth. It's a race against the clock for its creator to uncover the real threat before a worldwide geostorm wipes out everything and everyone.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Pretty well. No need to rewrite it because there it is.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why usually I can just find it's a pretty succinct, to the point, and covers it pretty well. I'm like, yeah, I like it. Copy and paste.
I wonder if anyone who actually writes these has listened to this podcast and hears it and says, hey, wait a minute, I wrote that. But I don't think so. So I think we're good. I think one of the things I wanted to make clear before we jump into the character analysis is what a geostorm actually is. Geostorm is simultaneous catastrophic weather events triggered all over the globe. Once they pass the minimum threshold, the storms will start causing new storms till they all merge together. And so that's basically what a geostorm is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it would be great to just throw that out there first.
Yeah, cool. So we get a movie titled Geostorm, in which a geostorm actually really doesn't happen. It starts to, but then they stop it.
Yes, they did a good job trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a complaint, because what else are you going to call it? That is
I don't know.
But yeah, but it's kind of like going into Twister and being like, oh, but the tornado stopped before it actually happened.
Well, I mean, what could they call it, Peg? Gerard Butler saves the day again?
Yeah.
Because he tends to in whatever he's in.
Gerard Butler in space.
Gerard Butler goes to Greenland.
Gerard Butler in space, I'd buy a ticket to that movie, so maybe that one would have worked for me. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Gerard Butler, we might as well jump in and start talking down, because that's kind of the first character that's in the list here that we have to talk about is Jake Lawson, which Gerard Butler. Always nice to see him. Because immediately I was like, oh yeah, because we did Greenland, so he's seeing him in another like disaster film here. Cool.
I think I preferred him in Greenland.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think Jake Lawson is going to make it on my end of season list of favorite characters.
Yeah, I saw something about like behind the scenes people were saying, and again, I don't know if I haven't looked ahead on the doc to see what you have for production notes. So sometimes I step on what you had in there without even knowing. But
doesn't matter. I just won't. Won't say it again.
Apparently, even like Gerard Butler wasn't really feeling it most of this movie while filming it, because like a lot of behind the scenes, like people talking about like he just didn't seem to even know his lines most of the time and was just rolling with it. Like, oh, okay, whatever.
Well, given I just rewatched it and finished it up today, I'm not surprised, because it does seem like a lot of ad-libbing.
Yeah.
At times, but it was fun, Peg. As you said, it was fun. You didn't hate it. I'm just glad you didn't hate it.
Yeah. It was worth watching. It was a fun watch. And a lot of that is Gerard Butler, because even when he's phoning it in, he's still fun to watch, and he's a great actor.
He really is. And in this role, he's like this satellite designer and former commander of the station, Dutch Boy. He created Dutch Boy. Like, he was really involved in the creation of Dutch Boy. We learn that he has a daughter. And then we learn that he's kind of this guy who keeps getting out of problems. And someone's always, like, rescuing him. And so he never really has to pay the price for some of the things that he does.
I didn't really gather that from it, other than what my notes, I was like, and now the government's threatening to take control of it away from him because they're dumb. I said, like, he's sort of kind of abrasive, but not really. It's like everything that they were throwing at him, like, but you did this. And then he would come up with something. It was like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Anybody in their right mind would do what he did.
Yeah, true. I got the feeling that his brother has bailed him out a few times. And his brother even mentions later that, you know, he kind of went off the rails when his parents died. And Max, his brother, kind of was bailing him out. So I just got the impression that maybe Max and others have continued to bail him out.
Yeah, which it also helped it make more sense for me whenever you kind of find out closer to the end that, like, oh, like, all of this was, like, orchestrated anyway because they wanted the brothers kind of at each other's throats, so they're not going to get in the way of what's going on. It's going to look like, oh, well, they had their own family squabble going on, so of course that's why they let all this slip through the cracks, and that's why it happened. It's because they weren't on their A game. Yeah.
And they'll be the scapegoats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that was... It was frustrating. I mean, I love the actor that played Max, who is Jake Lawson's brother. Jim Sturgis was wonderful in a movie called Across the Universe, which is kind of like, full of Beatles music and just, I think Jenna Malone is in it. It's just a wonderful film.
Yes.
And so I forgot he was in this until I looked at the cast list and I was like, okay, this is great. Jim Sturgis, you know, Gerard Butler, Abby Cornish. It's a lot of, I mean, it's a great cast. Ed Harris, Richard Schiff, a.k.a. Eddie Carr from The Lost World. Plays the Senator Cross, who Jake Lawson is kind of feuding with in the middle of the hearing.
Yeah.
Despite his brother sending him text messages, stop is the first one, and then a whole bunch of stop signs comes through. And I'm like, oh, you need to listen to him. But to me, it was a case of older brother, little brother, you know, trying. Their relationship was interesting in this film because you get the impression that they've been estranged a little bit, or at least they haven't spent a lot of time together recently.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Ed Harris because that's one of my notes. Was I literally just typed Ed Harris, period. That's the note. Just
and he didn't even his role. Okay, he had an important role. But it wasn't like he had a lot of screen time.
Yeah, no. He just kind of was like, he's there. And now he shows up to be really important, and I actually really liked that. But yeah, I mean, Ed Harris is going to be, like, great in anything he does. I don't think I've ever been disappointed in an Ed Harris performance. No. He's awesome.
You need to check out an older film called Night Riders. I had never seen it. It's a George A. Romero film, and he was in that. It was an earlier role for him, I think, and I really liked him in it. It was an interesting role.
Cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
I'll have to look into that. There's a lot of older movies that I haven't seen, so there's a lot of newer movies I haven't seen. So there's, I don't have as much time as I get older.
Oh my goodness. And you just had a birthday, so you're getting even older.
It won't stop. I'm going to be sending all those the stop sign emojis to my life in a minute. Just stop, stop going forward. Just let me chill where we're at for a minute.
No, it doesn't work that way, Pake.
Right. But yeah, anyway, where were we at on, talking about different stuff. But yeah, Jake Lawson, Gerard Butler, Scottish man in space. No.
Did you notice his accent was coming through at different times? Because I did.
I only picked up on it like once or twice, and it was real subtle, but it was there. Yeah.
I think it was near the end. They were his last couple scenes, and I was just kind of like, oh yeah. Yeah, you're from Scotland, I can tell. I can hear that a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. We'll let you roll with it.
I do like he tells Duncan Taylor that him and his brother were both born in the UK, but then like raised in the States or whatever. And it's funny that they threw that out there because him being a Scottish actor. And then, Jim Sturgis is also English.
Yes.
And so the fact is like they really were two like UK actors in a way, like kind of that area, like that were then portraying like Americans.
Yeah, but Robert Sheehan wasn't. He was portraying someone that was English.
Very, very British. Yeah. It was great because I think that's just who he is. He was just naturally being himself, but I'm so used to him being,
As
you know,
Klaus.
my precious, wonderful, fantastic Klaus Hargreaves. So
I know. And I knew when I put this on our list, I knew you were going to be happy because I know how much you appreciate Robert Sheehan and his acting. So, still though, not a lot of scenes. For some reason, I don't know what I thought with this movie. I'm not sure.
A lot of the major players didn't really reveal themselves to be until a twist somewhere in the end, and then they were gone. That's kind of how it worked, which is
very quickly.
Yeah. It's funny, the character I have the most notes about and the most stuff is a side character that I was but I will get into that in a little bit because I went on quite a journey with that one.
Oh boy, a rabbit hole? Are we going down the
not
rabbit
a rabbit
hole,
but just
again?
just literally while watching the movie, just a journey that I went on. My notes have an arc to them.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. But back to Jake Lawson again. Maybe we'll circle back. Yeah, so he ends up going back up to Dutch Boy as his brother has convinced him, but not really. You can tell he doesn't really need that much convincing.
No.
Yeah, at first he seems no, but then it's the second that his brother's well, people are dying, he's okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
But don't forget, his brother fired him.
Yeah, that was
3 years prior.
Yeah, that was brutal.
He fired him. Imagine being fired by your brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's off living in this trailer with his daughters, and his daughter is visiting, and his brother has to come get him to do something. But as you said, he wants to go back up.
Yeah. Because they have that, kind of at the moment where you get the sacrificial moment, and he's talking to Max, where he's I'm the one that sent you there. And he's no, I wanted to go. If I didn't want to go, I wouldn't have gone.
And he loves Dutch Boy. It's like his child.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really. That's the impression I get, because when he does go back, he's so in tune. He's so in tune with Dutch Boy, oh, well, this is wrong and this needs to be replaced. And he's, going on this, he's talking with Uta, who is the new commander, or has been the commander for at least a year. Mm-hmm. He's talking with her, and he's just going off on all these things that need to be fixed. As soon, containment shell needs a fresh coat of sealant, and the transform is this, and all sorts of different things.
Yeah. He's very connected to that. Because, we find out, not only has he been, operating it, but he basically, created and built and,
mm-hmm.
led the team that put all of this together. So this is his life's work.
Yeah. And he hasn't seen it for a few years, so
mm-hmm.
It's getting reconnected.
Yeah. So I like when he does go back up there, and then he kind of starts to put little pieces together and realizing that all of these issues and malfunctions and glitches that they're having are intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's noticing technology, the booster in his suit is messed up, or different
mm-hmm.
things. It's this has nothing to they bring in the satellite, and it's not the satellite that's having issues. It's the arm that's supposed to be transporting it is flinging it around.
That was scary because any of them could have died at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he gets sent up there, one of the reasons, is because someone did die.
Yeah.
In really weird circumstances.
Yeah.
One of the technicians, Mahmoud, figured out kind of what was happening.
Yeah.
And
just got blasted out a window. Which doesn't happen. Even earlier, whenever he's talking to his daughter about that, he was well, it was an accident. I was no. That doesn't happen accidentally the way it did.
No.
I don't. It was a very isolated incident where it was clear that was a targeted attack.
I feel like he goes into it thinking, okay, something really weird is going on, and I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I loved when Uta introduced him to the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was hilarious. they're all being kind of like, not insulting, but they're not super respectful. They think he's just some government guy that's come in to kind of watch over them or see what they're up to.
Mm-hmm.
And then once she actually says to them, yeah, this is Jake Lawson, their faces.
Oh yeah,
it was great.
One guy, the Mexican guy, I don't remember his
Hernandez.
name,
I loved him. He was great.
He's like after because he's been like shit talking on Los, and then once he realizes it is like, so I'm getting fired, right? Like,
oh, he was great. I liked him. He showed up a few times in the film at real cool, interesting moments. So I liked him a lot. I thought he was cool.
Yeah, that was great. But I do like Jake realizing that things are kind of being intentional and getting stuff. So after he goes flying out with his terrible CGI face the first time and then manages to save the drive, and he has it. And he trusts Uta, so he lets her know. But then as soon as like the rest of the team comes in, specifically Duncan.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so the drive was lost. And he's like, yeah. Like he just straight up lies to him. And he knows, like, even though he may not have been considering Duncan for the culprit at that time, but he wanted to keep that, like, circle of trust just between him and Uta, because he was like, somebody up here is involved. And so the less people that know that we now can figure things out, the better.
Definitely. I liked that he did that. And she really, though, continued to trust her team so much, even though he was like, no, someone's doing something. These aren't accidents. The arms don't just go crazy and try to kill you.
Right. One thing this movie did really well that at first I was like, oh god, everything's way too like predictable and this is dumb. And then I realized they like subverted a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh, never mind. Wow, they got me. And again, that's the one that I went on a journey with that I'll talk about in a little bit. But another one was the French guy that was up there. Again, I did not take down a lot of the names I should have.
That was Doucette.
And like they give you just that little second and you're like, oh, he's the one that's involved because he follows them down to the lockers and pulls a gun on them. But then it was because he thought that they were the ones actually. Yes. Which seems like a weird, like your commander and the guy who built this place is now trying to destroy it. Like, it's quite a branch to jump onto there, but but okay. But I mean, at least he's like looking out for stuff. He should have been looking at people on his other side, but
yeah. He had the right idea.
Yeah.
Which is someone must have seen that Mahmoud went in there because there were no cameras in there. So he figured, okay, then someone's going to come, find out that whatever Mahmoud had was not in his locker and that he put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he was going to be able to catch him because, maybe they were friends and he wanted to avenge him. I'm not really sure. Possible. I don't think there was a lot of character development in this film.
No, not really. I was going to say, except for the one journey, but no, even that one was part of the confusion and of the journey I went on was maybe really bad writing and maybe even acting in some cases, but again, I'll get there. You're right. There wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Yeah, not a lot of character development. It was just kind of very cut and dry. That's what I was saying. Like they just kind of moved through things. You're like, yeah, you guys can figure it out on your way through.
Yeah. Here's some brothers. Here's some space people working on the space station. There's a government involved.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Pretty much. Yeah, which the government stuff, again, I'll get into that in a little while. But I did enjoy where they went with a lot of that. But I think my favorite Jake Lawson kind of moment thing is him really taking charge once the Geostorm kind of stuff really was locked in, started happening. And he comes up with the idea to start launching the replacement satellites into the malfunctioning ones to stop it. Of course, that gets shut down to where they can't even do that pretty quickly. Yeah. But it was a great idea that worked, sort of, for a little bit. In a few
cases, it worked. It saved one poor girl that was running in Brazil.
Yeah.
She was running away, and she managed, I don't know where on earth she ended up, cowering in front of a door, but she managed to be saved.
Yeah, somehow she outran that, which never could have happened, but, not
at all.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, no way. Not going to happen.
But yeah, but he comes up with some great ideas. They did show kind of his brilliance in that, but then especially when he really gets that message, that secret code to Max, which they hinted at a little bit whenever they're talking in front of his daughter Hannah. It was like, we had our own secret language codes that we would use. And he was like, I don't remember that. But then we see it come up as they would, from what I understand, I gathered, so they would set up like a phone number that they both knew. It was like their dad's cell phone number. So if it started with like, oh, dad's cell phone, if they mentioned something like that, then it would be, okay, so here's the number. And then the code was then you take the words from that number and every, like the ninth word, the fifth word, the whatever that fit through there.
Yeah.
So you would go through
clever.
And then you'd pull out those words from the sentence, like the next thing he said. And there would be like a code in there. That was really cool. I did think that
I liked that. I thought it was clever. It was definitely clever.
Yeah, you'd have to really like practice your like story to make sure that the words fall exactly where they're supposed to.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to write it out or something, and you'd have to like be, like you said, no ad-libbing. You would just have to follow your script to it, to the letter, to the word, to be able to pull that off.
And then it helps that it's recorded. So I'm like, how did they do this as kids? Like, can you just remember everything he said that well?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but it was a cool idea. Like, I think about it, and I'm like, I don't know how well that really works, but it was cool.
But okay,
again,
yeah.
If I distance myself from logic, it was cool.
It always works if you know what, suspend your disbelief and just go with it. It's much better that way, especially with this movie.
Yeah,
I think you have to.
For sure. And then I don't have a lot of notes on him past that, like for most of the middle of the movie, because then he's just kind of Gerard Butler in space. He really and
yes,
yep. Until we get to the end, and then I was like, then it's where it gets, a little. Maybe I was just feeling a little cynical at the end for some reason, even though I'm also at the same time being like, I didn't hate this, but then somewhere at the end, I was just feeling cynical because I was just like, and classic self-sacrifice for humanity, cliche but acceptable. Fine, I'll take it.
Yep.
And then we get to the, like, oh, the wrong code. Oh, just the wrong door, because Uta is still here. Sure. Like, she stayed behind. Mission accomplished with literally, like, a second left on the clock because, we need that tension.
I didn't feel any tension.
Right. And it's like, and then they still find a way to survive at the end. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't complain about that because, I mean, it's a happy ending. Maybe I should be happy with happy endings, even if they're really cheesy. Like, I should be rooting for them to die because it's more realistic, but like also kind of like, oh, of course they survive at the end. They found a way.
Look back at The Wandering Earth when the father sacrifices himself and does not survive. Exactly. And how impactful that was. Mm-hmm. But I felt a lot of tension with that film. I did not feel it with this one. Yeah. Did not feel tension. I knew that everything was going to be okay. I did not worry about it. There are other movies that set a different tone. Greenland, which we brought up, set such a different tone. This was just not one of them that set a tone where you would be that worried.
Yeah, sometimes like a sacrifice is very impactful and necessary. And so when everybody of importance is going to be fine in the end, like it does take a little bit of the wind out of the sails for sure.
It does. I mean, the only one who really died, let's think about it, was Max's poor friend Cheng, who figured out something was going on and gets pushed in front of a car.
Right. That's how we go with it.
Yeah. Oh, poor Cheng. I liked him for what we saw of him.
Yeah.
Wasn't my favorite character. My favorite character, she didn't have a lot of time in the movie, but I have to say she's probably my favorite character in the film anyway. But I really liked her. I thought she was neat for the time she was on the screen.
Who?
Dana. She was Max's friend, the cybersecurity girl.
I was like, I didn't hear a name, so you're just like, my favorite character. She wasn't in it much, but she was cool. I was like, yeah. Well, who? Wait, no, yes, Dana.
She was great.
Zazie Beetz. I love her.
She is fantastic. She's been so good, like in Deadpool.
Yeah.
And anything she's been in that I've seen, I just really like. And I forgot she was in this, and I'm just thinking, oh, I wish she'd been on it more because it would have made it even better because she was great. I mean, she had a lot of like one-liners. Like some of her dialogue was actually good and fun. Yeah. And she helps Max start to put the pieces together after Cheng dies.
I was glad that it wasn't like super cliche, like hacking mode. Like she just kind of saw like, oh, somebody messed with this. and that's the extent I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if she plugs this in, she goes, I'm hacking the system and blah, blah, blah. And here's it. I was going to just turn it off and be like, we're not doing a podcast this week. No. Fuck this movie. No. But yeah. No. So I was glad they didn't go like super like cheesy, like hacker mode on that. Because I can't stand that.
I know. It's been done so many times and so, in some cases, really well.
Right.
But no. I'm glad that they just, she's like, I don't have clearance above this. Like, I can't do anything.
She's like, clearly somebody is intentionally, like, causing problems and locking people out. But that's all I can tell you. Good luck.
Good luck. Have fun.
So I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, them surviving, like I said, like, it's cheesy. But it's a happy ending, and sure, some people really have to have the happy ending. I know there's people like that. So,
what would have been worse is if Jake kissed Uta at the end. That would have been worse, Pake. That would have just pushed it too far. And I'm just glad that it didn't go there, even though I felt like at times they wanted you to think that it was going to go there. I was just relieved that it didn't, because I think that just would have been too much.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't
instead, we just get the little fishing bit at the end, which was actually really cute, and I did enjoy that.
That was cute.
That was funny.
That was cute. And like, his daughter,
I'm bored, I'm done.
His daughter, Hannah, is super smart. Like, I liked the little actress that played her.
I like her a lot.
Great.
I do have a whole, like little section of notes on her that's not part of, like, our typical, like, character, but I had
excellent.
Yeah, because, Hannah's like the precocious genius child of the film, because you have to have one, of course, right?
Always.
She's like the narration at the opening of the film, which is really cool.
And the closing, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
But like you said, I like the young actress. I have it in here. What was it? Talitha Bateman? Yeah, she was great. I think for the little bit she was in the movie, she really stole it.
Yes.
Because I especially, the scene right before he leaves. Because I just have in here, I was like, this poor girl. She's like, she's terrified that her father is going to be leaving forever, but she's also trying to, like, stay brave and put on this face for her own sake, but, like, also his. Yes. And then the line where she breaks is because he's like, I promise you I'll come back. He's like, you said that, but you're not the most reliable. And then she just, like, loses it. And
oh yeah.
Oh, it hit me so hard. I was like, man. And so I had to, like, kind of look into, I was like, who is this girl? Because I really like her performance here. Like, she's nailing it. And it turns out I have seen her in a few other things, and I just didn't remember, because I guess it didn't stand out. Like, the roles that she's done in other things, like, I don't remember those at all, or barely do. Mainly it's like, the Fifth Wave, Love, Simon, and she had, like, a little small recurring role in the middle. And that's the only one that I even, like, vaguely remember the character. I was like, oh, yeah, she was one of those kids. But,
well, the Fifth Wave fits within our realm of podcastable movies. So we'll revisit that one, and then maybe you'll remember her a little more.
Yeah, now after seeing this, yeah. Then I will probably pick up, like, oh, there she is. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll remember her just a bit more.
Yeah, and then the last one I have in here, I was like, I feel like a 13-year-old can't just order a lift for themselves. Like, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
No. 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 They shouldn't be able to. He should have done that for her. I loved the scenes between her and Gerard Butler. I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie, was that scene where he's getting ready to leave. I felt something in that scene that I didn't feel in some of the other stuff.
Yeah, nothing else really emotionally invested me at all, except for that. And it really was because of that little girl's acting. She was incredible. Yeah,
she was fantastic. Hopefully she goes on to do lots more.
Mm-hmm. And then that's all I have on Jake.
All right. Let me see if there's anything else that I have. No, I don't. So I feel like we should move on to Brother Max, played by the amazing Jim Sturgis. And I also kind of lumped in Sarah, his fiance, who's a Secret Service agent, and their forbidden love affair that they're having.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like most of your notes might go to Max, and then with mine, it's like Mine's all Sarah, and this is the character I was talking about earlier that I went on a journey with. I just don't know, because I felt like, oh, I've got this movie all figured out, and it took from it. And then I didn't, and it actually like helped. So I'll just kind of go through my notes and see, like, you know, you can go on that journey with me, at least the ones that are about Sarah. Which the first one isn't about that journey, but I just said she got dressed into her suit for work way too fast for any human to be able to do. Because she was like in like a nightgown, and then like he's like on the phone, and then he gets off the phone and looks around, and she's like fully suited up, like, yep, I got the call, bye. Like, how did she do that?
Because she always wears the same clothes, and she's not having to think. She just grabs this, she probably has 10 of the same jacket, 10 of the same shirt and pants, and boots. So it's like, okay. Just grab it and put it on.
She's the emotionless robot Steve Jobs of the Secret Service.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very quick and easy for her. She just figures it out. Because a lot of time is usually spent, at least I'm a woman and this is how it is for me. Most of my prep time is trying to figure out, okay, what do I wear today? She doesn't have that problem. She just picks up the same thing over and over. So I think it's a simplified life, I guess.
So I will just read out my Sarah notes that went on this journey, so you can go through so I'll just read up the way that I wrote them going through the movie the first time seeing it.
Excellent.
So here it goes. I don't trust Sarah. As soon as Dana asked if Max was still dating her, I feel like they're setting up that she is getting info from him and working for the quote-unquote bad guys. Next note. Yep, Sarah is definitely involved. I'm onto her. The guy that pushed Chang would know where he was because Sarah knew where they were going to be meeting him, and she was ready to call for help and pretend to try to stop the car to cover for herself. But she seemed way too calm, like she was expecting it to happen. Which I now tie that to, like, maybe the actress just, like, really missed her cue. Anyway. Next one. Max, you are fucking up hardcore by telling Sarah what's happening. She's involved, bro. 100%. Sarah flips and decides to help out way too easily. She's playing along, so she always knows what the Lawsons know. That's my theory, but I know I'm right?
Yeah, you know the answer to that now.
And then the next one, subverting expectations, because I was fully convinced Sarah was in on it, so good job on that. But angry Liev Schreiber-looking Secret Service agent is now dead and has gone boom. Thanks. That's for killing Chang.
That is funny because I wrote something. I think I wrote burn, baby, burn.
Nice.
Because he kind of blew up.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate that.
Another, like, then they just, again, with, like, the sacrifice stuff and stuff, like, they, showed their hand a little bit too much on stuff, because then I have in here, it's like, Sarah literally said, really? Self-driving taxi? As Max pulled up with it earlier. So, of course, the second that the rocket launcher was pointed at it, I said, self-driving. I pay attention.
Exactly.
They're not there. I saw that coming a mile away. I saw it coming before they saw the taxi coming. And then so then I flipped completely on Sarah, realizing that the whole time I am so convinced and I am so proud of myself for figuring out that she was in on it and she was going to turn on them at the beginning of the movie, to then realize, oh no, I was wrong. Which then led me to, like, why did I think that, other than, like, her acting was just so weird. Like,
well, she's a Secret Service agent. She's playing a Secret Service agent, so she's got to be really calm, really collected, can't really show any emotion of any kind, so she has to be serious all the time. Mm-hmm. So that could be.
Yeah, but then we see a big change in her, because then I was like, well, now she's really quite fond of saying fiance now, and she's going to do it every time she gets a chance.
Yes, she is. And she does something in the car so that the President Palma actually looks and says, Max, you need to marry her, or you need to marry her, or something like that. He tells him, because they weren't supposed to be together due to their jobs.
Yeah.
Was a secret.
But so that was the journey that I went on with Sarah, was being
my goodness,
fully convinced that I had her shit figured out, to being like, oh no, I was wrong completely.
That makes me laugh, because I didn't doubt her. Like, I didn't doubt her at all. And I waited. I had forgotten a few of the things that happened. And after they fired that rocket launcher, and then she's right there with the gun to Deckham's head, it's like, yep, okay, there you go, badass. Yeah. You just do it.
Yeah, but I was so proud of myself being like figuring out, because again, look at this, like, oh yeah, she's just going along with everything because she just wants to know what they know, and she's actually on the inside job for them. Like, I was so invested. I'm like, oh, I've got you figured out, Sarah. Don't you even...
Oh my gosh. I wish we had been watching it together so I could just like hear you saying that. I would have loved it. It would have been amazing.
Oh yeah, I was so proud of myself, and I got it all wrong. Well, not all wrong, because then again with Deckham is when they're at the convention. Yes. And Max goes off, which I was still convinced that Sarah was also part of it. But then she really turned me on it at the convention whenever she like starts firing in the air to get the president out and help. And then I was like, okay, this would be the point where she would turn, and she didn't. So
yeah, no,
maybe I was wrong. But then I was like, but again, Max is telling people who are clearly involved. I didn't trust Deckham from the first time, from the get-go either. And I was like, I bet that the president has no idea, and it was Deckham the whole time, right? And then Sarah's working for him. Maybe she's not involved. That would be the real twist, is that she's not. So,
Peg, you went on a journey.
I did.
You went on a real journey with this movie. Wow.
Because there's so many, again, with watching this for the first time, these like notes and stream of like, it's just trying to figure things out, and it's so funny to look back at after seeing it, because I was just like, oh, so now this is a political thing, and they're covering up on the Dutch boy malfunctions, killing people that are figuring anything out. But if the president's behind this, then why would he target the city that he's in at the time of the convention? Unless that wasn't planned. The details are real fuzzy. I hope I can figure this out. And there's like, oh, Deckham wanted the storm to be in Orlando, so he would take out the president and everyone in line for the presidency between Palma and himself. And so then I'm like, it's funny to look at my notes and be like, oh, I'm figuring things out. Like, I was so confused, but if I just waited like 15 minutes, I would have got it.
I know, but I like that you went down. I like that you went down that stream of consciousness, thinking that you figured it out, because you can go back and look at that and be like, oh boy, was I wrong.
I missed that one. But now Deckham I didn't trust from the beginning, and I had every reason to. I knew that because as soon as he was like, it's the president, and he's behind, he's like, oh no. I was like, don't, Max.
No.
You're way too trusting of people.
That's what we learned. I mean, really, that's something that we learned in this.
Yeah. Max is just going to throw anybody in with it like, oh, here's what's going on. No, it's not.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. That's definitely Max. I thought Max might bite it, and I was thinking, okay, if Max dies, okay, that's a serious thing. You know, there were opportunities, I guess, in the film for things to happen that didn't happen, and so that's why I didn't feel any tension. Yeah, it's because it was like, oh, okay, they're killing off people that we barely know. They're not really killing anyone, you know, that we've gotten attached to, which I really hadn't gotten attached to anyone except Hannah. I mean, right. You know, and Dana, once we met her. Yeah, I was more attached to to characters who weren't even in it that long. Yeah. Than I was to the people. And it wasn't, the cast of this movie was great. It's just,
yeah. They had such a stellar cast and they did like nothing with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I had one note, which maybe you can fix this for me. I don't know. But then again, when Max is talking to Deckham, and I said, wait, where did this Project Zeus thing come from? Did Max just make that up, or did I miss something?
Chang's last word to Max as he's dying was the word Zeus.
Okay. And that was it? He just said Zeus?
Zeus, yes. So Max...
Did I miss that? That's still quite a jump to make. Oh, I know about this Project Zeus thing, and it's all this. I was like, no. Maybe he's just fishing for that to see if something happens, but it didn't work, because then he still trusted Deckham until... He
was digging with Dana on Project Zeus. That was one of the things he was digging on.
Yeah, I figured I just missed something, but I was like... Because like with those, I must have been like taking notes on something and missed him saying that, but... When he just pulled his, like, I know everything. Project Zeus. I was like, did you just pull that out of your ass? Like, what? That's what they're doing.
And you didn't think, Peg, to go back and watch the whole thing again?
Nah.
Nah.
So that makes sense. I was like, I figure I missed something, because if Max was just like, Project Zeus, that's what we'll call it, and I'm on to you. Like, I don't, it was weird.
Again, this is a movie, I think, like many that we've covered, that you just get the popcorn out and watch it and don't take it too seriously, because you just really don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And what you get is not a deep, it's not a deep movie.
Mm-mm. Now, Max did have a fun moment. I did like, really, like, I would have put it in quotes, in my quotes, except I don't know how punch is a quote. But but I did like, one of the last things he says to deck him, says, you know what my brother would say? And then just decks him. And I loved that.
Oh, it was great. Well, Deckham's name is Deckham. So deck him.
Yeah, deck him.
That's what he'd say. Oh, gosh.
Oh, man. But yeah, I think I just ran fast through my notes with Max and Sarah because I was so excited to jump in there because I wanted to take you on my journey.
And you know what? You pretty much have covered Max in a nutshell. I really don't think that there's anything more to say about Max.
Nice.
I'm not sure there's much more to say about any of the characters, really.
Yeah, no, the only notes, I'll run through my character notes. I have a little bit maybe on the Dutch boy team, if I haven't already said all of them, so I will see. I said, Robert Sheen, I mentioned, I said, bye-bye, Space Station guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it was just a lot of me, again, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's just like those little thoughts. I was like, so is this like a glitch in the system or a purposeful override of the satellites? And then, so all kinds of technologies just malfunctioning constantly. That's not a coincidence. So again, it's just me going on this journey, figuring out what's going on a little too late. I was like, so somebody installed a virus into Dutch Boy to weaponize it and create a geostorm. Mm-hmm. But why? What motive works here? I was like, it seems like it's all for control of Dutch Boy before it becomes international property, and the U.S. wants the power to stay only with them. But it wasn't even really just the U.S. It was just Deckham and guys that were with him, the Secretary of State, which is okay. But then I was another one that they subverted me with. It was like, Duncan was the bad guy on board who initiated the virus and was locking everybody out of stuff. I actually didn't expect that.
Neither did I the first
Jake was
time
right
I saw
to lie.
this.
Yeah, it was like Jake was right to lie about it. The drive to him earlier. I was like, I didn't see that coming. I was like, okay. I figured he was on the good side, just like the random nerdy English guy. But nope, he was the bad guy who did it all, and he was doing it for the money.
Yes.
And, so out into space you go. Bye-bye.
Yep, that is exactly what I wrote. I wrote bye-bye, Duncan.
Yeah.
So really, yeah. I like it better when you say bye-bye. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did find my note that was about the evil guy that was... I actually just... If he had a name, I didn't know it. The one that pushed Chang out into the road. It actually says, the evil man goes bye-bye in a ball of fire. Mm-hmm. And that was it.
Basically, I just called him angry Liev Schreiber looking Secret Service dude.
Sometimes I think our names for these characters are better.
Right.
They don't have to go nameless. We will name them for you.
Right. But yeah, let's see. I could just go through other notes. Let's see. Weather stuff and effects. I kind of have any of that. Just talk about some of the effects and stuff. The freezing stuff was kind of cool. The first one we see is in Afghanistan. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's early enough in the movie. You're like, what's going on?
The frozen village. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And then we get the Tokyo.
Hailstorm. No, the fire tornadoes in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong was the first one. The Hong Kong, where I was like, go, little smart car, go.
I didn't think Cheng was going to make it out of that.
No, it was crazy. But that whole scene was actually one of my favorites in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
At first I was like, so there's just fire shooting from the ground for some reason. It took me a while. I was like, I'm going to need an explanation on that, which I got pretty soon. I was like, oh, it's the gas main explosions. But then, of course, it's because of the overheating from Dutch Boy that blows them. When at first they were trying to pass it off as just a malfunction in the gas mains themselves. Yeah. But I really did find it. Go ahead.
Wikipedia called them fire-nados, and I think that's perfect.
I like it.
I've never heard that before. I thought that was great.
Yes.
So
yeah,
go
but
on.
the action driving sequence there with the little smart car would
That
hang
was
there.
great.
It was really fun. I liked it a lot. And then when he gets to the bridge outside, and then all the windows just immediately fog over because the temperature like dropping back to normal so suddenly. And then when he opens the door and all the steam comes out, I thought that was a really cool
That was very
effect
cool.
and a really
I like that.
smart thing to throw in there. I was like, okay, I really like
that. Might have been something new.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it too. I think I even wrote in my notes it was like one of my favorite action, or the favorite action scene in the film.
Oh yeah.
Other than I did like when the waves were coming in Rio de Janeiro and they showed the wave frosting over. I thought that was cool. I don't think the quality of the effect was as great, but I liked what they were doing. Yeah,
it was fine.
That was cool.
I didn't have any problems with those effects. I actually thought the birds dropping from the sky and shattering on the ground was really cool. I thought that was interesting.
But we get those the hailstorm in Tokyo after Hong Kong.
The sedan size hail, basically. It was just
so big,
huge. And then the last one we get is kind of as they're driving away through the big old lightning storm, which is just blowing things up, including the place that they were in to do the convention, which you saw what that was, which I kind of was just fun and nerded out for very specific reasons for me because they were in Moxley Arena. But that's only those who know, and I won't go into it.
Hey, you know that I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And I actually had to look up and see if that was a real place, and it's not.
It's not, but I saw that too, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'm like, it's obviously not real, but wow, that's nice.
Yes.
We got a couple of other things. Like, there were tornadoes in Mumbai with a little boy with his dog.
Yeah.
Which I was glad to see him reunited with his dog at the end, because you know me, I'm all about the animals. I still worry about that poor cat in Hong Kong that wouldn't stay out of the refrigerator. Although that might have been a safer place for it inside that. I don't know. We got a mega tsunami in Dubai, which I think there were businessmen that were in a meeting and things. They ended up making it through, but it was real scary for a little while. And then that instant heat wave in Moscow, where it's snowing and the next second everything just gets real, real hot.
Yeah.
Those are really like the effects / weather type things that we saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just looking through my notes and I literally, in that last little just burst of excitement, I just covered everything. So I'm
awesome. Well, I wanted to bring up one more thing that's in my notes that we didn't talk about. We talked about Hernandez showing up at, random times sometimes. It was kind of funny when Uta and Jake escape in that satellite and the ground sends one of the shuttles to pick them up, and it happens to be Hernandez's shuttle, and so he sees them and he's waving, and it's just like, okay, that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I liked that, connecting the dots,
because
I guess.
he tells them, he says, thank the Mexican.
It was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like I've got some production notes if we're ready for those.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I don't know why, but I just so excitedly just ran through all my notes. Like, oh, I have so many things to say real fast for some reason. I don't know.
Okay. So we've already talked a little bit about this poor, troubled production that took several years to make. Devlin, the director, has worked as a producer and a writer on several films, including Independence Day, which we will be covering sometime soon as potentially something around a holiday that's coming up in the summer.
I'm pretty sure people could, if they took all the leaps and bounds, they might be able to decide, or guess which holiday we would cover that one on.
I think that they could, yeah.
It might take some real deep sleuthing, but I bet they can figure it out.
I bet they can figure it out. And we may have a special guest coming on for that one. He also worked on the sequel. He worked on The Patriot. Eight-Legged Freaks, which we have already talked about, will be a future episode of Run for Your Lives. It's on the list. And he also did 1998's Godzilla, which Mark will kill me if I don't say it's Godzilla in name only, because fans are really split on that. I think the diehards really feel it was in name only, so I had to mention that. He also directed the follow-up film Bad Samaritan, where he worked with Robert Sheehan once again, as well as the amazing David Tennant. Pake already mentioned that cast and crew members have reported that Gerard Butler did not appear to know many of his lines. I think that makes sense, given his performance in this film.
Oh, yeah, I stole that one from you, too.
You stole that one from me, too.
Again, because I don't look in advance, and so there's just, like, I do my own, like, little, like, looking at the end, because I'm curious about things, and then this stuff isn't even in my notes. I just remember reading it and being like, oh, yeah, there's this thing.
Yeah, so Pate took that one, too. Sticky Studios released a game with the same name and premise, but it follows an alternative plot with 3 people gathering data on Earth to locate a rogue satellite. The game has received generally positive reviews, which is more than the movie, so good job, Sticky Studios. And in 2015, fan, digital artist, and filmmaker The Imaginative Hobbyist created a teaser, logo, and poster, which has often been mistaken for the actual promotional material. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like digital artists. Like, I try to be a digital artist myself. And I just say try. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's all I have for production notes.
All right, then it's time to get into some quotes. I don't have many at all.
Me either. I have 3. And you probably have the same 3 or 1 or 2 of them. Or maybe not.
Let me look at what you have. Actually, nope. We have separate ones completely.
Excellent.
So.
All right. Well, at one point, Max is talking to Sarah while they're both at work. And, of course, they're in a forbidden romance. And she looks at him and says, "You're interfering with my duties. I'd rather not shoot you." Takes her job very seriously, as we already talked about, because Peg thought she was on the side of the bad guys. Before Jake leaves for Dutch Boy, he has this conversation with Hannah, his daughter, which we've talked about a little bit. She actually says something. She knows what's going on. And he just basically says, "What have I told you about eavesdropping?" And this is her response. "You never told me anything about eavesdropping. You don't really do much parenting."
I almost added that one, but I'm glad you did.
That one.
I like it.
Love that one. And then when Jake is having the station evacuated, realizes Duncan is behind it all, they're having their conversation and talking about everything just being destroyed. Duncan says, "Aren't you a bit curious to watch the world burn?"
Good line.
It doesn't sound as good without him saying it. Like, with his English accent. So
channel your best Robert Sheehan.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's not in my skill set, Pig. It's just not.
Dang. All right, I only had 2, but one is again kind of in that big, like that major scene we get with Hannah, and I loved it when her and her Uncle Max are talking, and he says, "You're supposed to be like 9 years old," and she responds with 13, "And you were supposed to be a part of my life, but shit happens."
Ugh, so good.
Was so good.
So good.
Just kind of puts him in his place, and I love how he's just like, no, you're right.
Yeah. Got no response. No comeback. Yeah. No clever comeback for that one. Yeah.
And then my other one that I loved, which you mentioned, but it was just so succinct, is after Sarah's incredible driving expertise, spinning them around and taking out the Secret Service guys that were chasing them, and President Palma just looks at Max and just says, "Marry her." That's it. Just the 2 words. Just marry her.
Because she's awesome. Let's just say it. She's awesome. She takes her job very seriously. She is not a bad guy.
Are you sure?
I'm sure, Peg. I am sure she's not a bad guy.
I put all the pieces together.
Yes, you did. You did, but I think that you're missing a few pieces, or it's the wrong puzzle.
Hey, sometimes you have to cut some of the ends off, or glue different ones on to make them fit.
No. If you have to do that, then it really isn't meant to be.
All right. But yeah, that's it. Just those two quotes.
That's great.
Which then brings us to the rankings part.
Yes.
Which will be interesting.
Yes, it will. It always is. And you know where I'm going with this, because, well, I have to. Since this was your first time viewing this movie, of course you have to go first, Pake.
Oh, yeah, of course. Know it's coming. It's funny enough is I didn't want to go too low, and then I didn't want to go. And so when I finally ranked it, I was like, I didn't hit it, so I pulled it up a little bit. But then actually, while we've been discussing it, I went and slid it back down because oh no, some of the stuff
Pake.
But
this happens sometimes when we're talking about movies, except Turkey.
You like things more, or you realize that maybe I was a little too high on it. But no, I think where I landed on it is still not a bad score at all.
Okay.
You know how I am about, like, you gotta do pretty bad to even go under a 7.
I know.
So I don't think this movie deserved that, but it's close. So, no, 7.3 is where I landed on it.
That is great. Mm-hmm. That is great that you came in at a 7.3.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm trying to read between the lines of what you mean by that.
Given that you thought Sarah was a bad guy, maybe you shouldn't try to be a detective. Or you should try again. I'm not sure. So I enjoyed this movie so much more the first time I watched it. For me, the second time, it was almost kind of like The Happening.
Yeah.
In some ways. So I actually came in at a 7. All right. Like 7.
I would much rather watch 7. This movie again than The Happening. Though,
yes,
so.
Which is why this is getting a 7. I can't take it to The Happening world. Mm-hmm. I can't.
I think the only way I'm going to watch The Happening again is if I watch the Riff Tracks version, which I need to.
Oh, it's still
on my list.
It's on my list as well, because I'm dying to hear exactly what they have to say, especially when Mark Wahlberg is talking to plants. I feel like that scene in particular I've got to see.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh my goodness, It's that time again.
There's the feedback phone. We have to see.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to finding out. So let's go.
All right, we've got a little bit of feedback this week. The first one, little message here, comes from our friend Greg. And all he has to say is, Geostorm! And
I love
that's about it.
Good job.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for that.
I'll take it. Sums it up.
It does. I mean, really, if you think about it.
It's definitely what movie we covered.
You know what? It is.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, it is the movie that we covered.
It is. All right. And then, of course, we do have one voicemail feedback as well. Let's get to some live Steving this week. It's here. It's ready to rock.
All right.
What's he got to say?
Hey, Pake and Daphne, this is Steve, and this is for Geostorm. I think I've seen this before. Like, I might have even seen it in the theater. I don't remember. But I read a little bit of the description, and it sounds familiar to me. So, here we go. Aw, how cute. They named it Dutch Boy? Aw. Zap! Zap! That guy was hilarious. I don't know, I just started watching it. So they think they can control Jake? Because isn't that what Andy Garcia just said? We're going to send someone there that we can control. Hey, that appears to be a clean-shaven Klaus from the Umbrella Academy. Yeah,
yes.
Think so. That's my kind of guy. Happy hour starts around 11 here. The building just fell on the guy in that SUV who was honking at him. There's no way this little car is getting out of the city, right? I'm sorry, there's no way this guy survives. Okay, I guess he made it. Seriously, they're
For now.
spending all this money to send one guy? Like, there's nobody even else going up there along with him? Oh, I'm sure there's pilot and stuff, but, like, it's empty. This whole bay where all the seats are is just empty. Okay, he just said the title of the film, like, twice. You'll be reporting to your brother anyway. Zeus. Like the character from Die Hard with a Vengeance, Zeus?
Probably more like the god.
He still has his dad's phone number from however many years ago. But, okay. You and I. Nobody likes the grammar police. So the president is the bad guy. That was kind of a cool effect with the wave freezing as it crested. That was kind of cool. Wouldn't both satellites be damaged? I mean, don't they still need it to control the weather? I guess I'm not understanding this plan. Oh, Klaus. Oh. But, you're a skinny British guy against Gerard Butler. Really? Okay, I don't know much about stadiums, but I'm not sure lightning can make a stadium explode. Okay, she's a great driver. She's a good shot. And she's a Secret Service agent, and she looks like Barbie. I'm in. It's self-driving. They're not in that car. Hey, it worked for Sandra Bullock in that Gravity movie. They can do it too, right? Fall to Earth in a satellite? All right. Well, that was Geostorm.
Awesome.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks so much, Steve. That was a great one.
It was. We always appreciate your feedback, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, that is all we have this week for feedback. But of course, we would always love to hear from you listeners. So if you want to leave us any feedback for what we cover next week, or even for Geostorm here, or any other movie we've covered in the past, or something you want us to cover, there's a lot of ways you can get your feedback to us. So you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. You can email us or send us your voicemails at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at RFYL Podcast or Instagram at runforyourlivespodcast. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to share the love, tell your friends, or just give us a review on Apple Podcasts. That always helps us a lot as well. And you can always go to or send anyone to runforyourlivespodcast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media and all of our podcast players. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Pandora, Stitcher, YouTube, everywhere. We're there. Find us, listen, watch, rate, review, love.
Yes, please do all of the above. Just take a minute out of your day and show us a little bit of love on social media or by just listening to our podcast and leaving us a review.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Very easy. All right, give a couple shout outs to things going on in the podcast universe around us. Of course, Strange Indeed, my other podcast, is back. Hopefully, we'll have an episode up this week. No pressure, Rima. But we are back. We are covering Apple TV's original Lacey story, adapted from Stephen King. And the first 2 episodes are out. We have recorded on them, and hopefully they will be up either today or very soon this weekend. So definitely, if you follow A Strange Indeed, keep an eye out. Keep it peeled. It might be up now or it will be soon. So definitely check that out. And then the Walking Dead cast, our good friend Jason is over there with our friends Mark and Greg talking about episode 15 of this season of Fear the Walking Dead. TV podcast industries, our good friend Derek and his co-hosts there are covering The Bad Batch, still on Disney Plus, and also on Disney Plus, brand new this week, Loki. It is out, and they have released their episode talking about episode 1 of Loki, which, by the way, incredible. So good. I'm loving the Disney Plus Marvel shows so much, and this one is no exception.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I've got to. I'm so excited. I love Tom Hiddleston, so this is a must. Got to check it out. Got to catch up. And
then our friend Damien has his podcast, Watched It in the 80s podcast, and the next episode there is Caddyshack. So if you're a big fan of Caddyshack, which who isn't, go check that out. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
And then lastly, our friend Ben has launched his podcast, Wilhelm, and the second episode is up today, where him and Jerry are talking about their top favorite car chase movies.
I know, I can't wait. I feel like Jerry's been bit by the podcasting bug now, and I love that we get to hear him on a bunch of different podcasts, so I'm excited to hear what he and Ben chose as their top car chase movies.
Yeah. And then if people want to hear you elsewhere as well, Daphne, where can they tune in?
Well, this week and next week, because we're winding down at House Podcastica our coverage of The Handmaid's Tale. Our episode covering Season 4, Episode 9, Progress, will be out sometime this weekend, or maybe even tomorrow, which would be cool. This week, Wendy and I had Rima on with us, Rima from Strange Indeed. So it was really fun to get to break down the episode with her. She had a lot of insight, and it was cool to kind of catch up with what her thoughts are on some of the things that have been happening this season. So we only have one episode left, which is the finale next week, and it's gone so fast. I've had such a great time over there. It's been different covering a TV show versus movies, but I've enjoyed it a lot. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
And it's been so good. I've been listening, and you guys are killing it over there. It has been a lot of fun to listen to.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear you and Rima talk about Lisi's story. And I know I've said it before. I read the book, and I'm actually rereading the book now because I kind of want to have it a little more fresh in my mind as the show goes on.
Cool. And then you can give us all your feedback where you can let us know how the show is going according to the book, because me and Rima have both not read that. So
you have not.
We're just going into the show.
I will definitely do that. I kind of already am pretty happy with the way the show is going. So
cool.
We'll see what happens next.
All right. And then next week, right here on Run for Your Lives, what do we got going on?
Okay. So next week, we get a little more serious. Actually, we get a lot more serious. Our episode next week is covering the 2012 English language Spanish disaster film, The Impossible. A holiday celebration turns into a fight for survival for a family of 5 as they navigate the aftermath of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. This film is based on real-life events and experiences of the Balon family when they visited Thailand for the Christmas holiday. Maria Balon participated heavily in the retelling of her family's story, and director J.A. Bayona was committed to bringing it to life as accurately as possible. Plus, we are introduced to a young Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, in his first feature film role.
Yay. Yeah, it is it's a great one. It's a heavy one. It's a rough one, but it is a great one for sure.
It really is. This was a different film for us to cover. I mean, we've covered lots of different types of movies, but this one, I feel like it was the first one that we've done that's based on a true story. Yeah. Like to this level. And
you mean Tremors wasn't based on a true story?
No. No, I don't think so.
That's right. That was Jurassic Park.
Oh, it's my heart. Today, actually, when we're recording this, we are 1 year out from Dominion. Like, it's been all over Facebook, and I'm just, I don't even know what to do. Like, I'm just so excited. Really.
Now.
Yes, it was supposed to be out right now, but okay, I'll try to be patient. I mean, after all, we do have 2 Jurassic World movies plus Camp Cretaceous, seasons 1, 2, and 3 now to cover on this podcast. So
yeah, we got some Jurassic Park stuff to bide our time.
We definitely do. And with that, guys, we have reached the end of another fun episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run from a hacked satellite named Dutch Boy that's annihilating the Earth one firenado, deep freeze, or mega tsunami at a time, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.